Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are here getting ready to talk Bigfoot, Sasquatch, all sorts of cryptids with our main man, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He's got a brand new book out. We'll tell you about that momentarily. Then Dirty Filth will be here to add in a few cartoons to, I don't know, he'll draw something up that we'll all enjoy. You know that. That's what Dirty Filth does for a living. And then, of course, all of you being here as well to kick off this brand new week. I'm excited. I will be gone the middle of the week and for my daytime job purposes, but nonetheless, we're all here together right now. Dino Bravo in the gold medal position, race fan, taking home the silver. Raymond L with a nice bronze medal tonight. And there we have Roy Boy, Kathy Evans, Sugar Bridges, Kurt M, Laura Lobbs, Lisa C, Les Paul Holland, Brown Dwarf, good to have you all here. Hi, Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Kevin, what's going on, man? And Human Carl, a great, great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you, Human Carl, for your incredible service. Paramarv and Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, good to see you guys. Robert Lamoth, thank you for coming on in. Mexi97 is here. Mexi97 will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Jenny White Bear, nice to see you. And who else do we got here? Let's take a little peeky-boo here, shall we? Scrolling on down. There's Alien Universe and D. Cypher. Justin Hemmingson, nice to see you. The Other Sider, good to have you back. Anna Bowen, what's happening? Anna will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. All right, there's Guy Calgary. T-Bone, nice to see you. As we scroll on down, who else do we get to say hello to? Stephen Edmond, Skip to Malou, W. David Page. Nice to have you all here. And let's see who else has joined us. Pink Volo and Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Continuing on, we have, let's see here, Science Melinda and Susie B. Good to see you, Hud. Richard Elmore, thanks for coming on in. And Welsh Hammer, good to see you. And Love Be Love, Vanessa, thank you for joining us. Hey, Guy, what's happening? How's camp? Let me know. Good to see you, buddy. Trace B, thanks for coming on in. And, Bigfoot Rob's in the chat room, too. He's doing double duty tonight. Lily Pond, Jessica Looney, how are you, man? And Bryson's Folly, good to see you. Beelzebrad, Magnolia, Susan Alloway, thank you for joining us. And let's see who else. Nina Williams, how are you? Sibylla Irwin, Juliana McGill, and Scott Brand, nice to see you all. And let's see here. Who else do we got? Gina Walden, welcome to SOR Chat. And we are caught up in the chat room. By the way, let's get the radio side going. So that way, Bill WD-40 can come on in and lube us up for tonight's show. Because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You know what I'm saying? You always want to go in smooth. And, with Bigfoot Rob here, you never know. It might be a little crunchy at times, but I mean, we always want to go in nice and smooth. The Bull Don Philly, welcome to SOR Chat. Blackbird Immaculate, it's been a while. Nice to have you here. Pixie Lara and Long Island Bigfoot, thanks for coming on in. And the Super Chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Wondering what the red was on there. What else do we got? You can do some shopping at our store, spacedoutradio.com. It's a good store. It's a fun store. Lots of good woo shirts in there. Brad Ford, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. And there's Bill WD40. Take a bow, Bill, because everybody is bowing back at you. That's right. Lube us up, Bill. Lube us on up. All right. We're just seconds away. Do me a favor, everybody. I need this. You need this. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show of true encounters tonight. Bigfoot Michigan Rob tells us all about close encounters with Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and other true cryptids. Then in hour number 3, we got another great story from Among the Missing. And then after that, little Timmy Senor will be here to talk about the latest in the UFO comings and goings. How about a strange encounter in Peru where this little town is claiming they've had a war with aliens going on in the last couple of days? Yeah, can't make that stuff up. That is for sure. All right, let us rock and roll here with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, because he's got a brand new book out, which can be found on Amazon. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. Yeah, he had to go and buy himself about 17 headbands just to figure out which one he was going to wear on the cover of this book. Bigfoot Rob has been I'm going to say this. He's been a fan of this show for a long time. And, our relationship started a number of years ago when he owned a small little bar in Michigan. And literally inside the bar each and every night, he'd play our show live over people listening to music. And I've never, ever been so thankful in my life that when he was doing that. But he's become a great friend of this show. We love him around here. And so, Bigfoot Rob, it is so good to see you where you've come from as a fan of this to a researcher and now an author. How you doing, my friend?
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been unusual travel. Thanks for mentioning the bar. I started watching Space Out Radio back when you were just on Spreaker, well before you were on YouTube, and I just happened to find you by luck. I said, man, it sounds pretty cool. So I'm listening to Dave Scott, Space Out Radio. I enjoyed all the content and started listening and following you. And then you made it on over to the YouTube side where, I could, put the face to the voice. Now, of course, I saw your face on Spreaker, but, and then I'm like, yeah. And then, I started watching, and one night I'm sitting at the bar. And we got somehow texting together for whatever the reason. I said, "Yeah, man, I got you live at my bar." Because my bar had two separate areas. One where you could watch television with softer music, and the other side was more the rowdy side. So, after about a couple months, it started growing into 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 people would come in and watch Spaced Out Radio at the bar. And then you and I put together a little shtick about every time you say the woo or you said that, people would have to buy a drink. Or if somebody mentioned, I think, Spaced Out Radio or something to that, then I would have to buy. So it ended up being a fun thing. And I do remember one time I was on it, it was Halloween, and I was blowing up pumpkins in my field, and you called the bar. You heard all this ruckus, couldn't get a hold of me because I was out getting arrested. Yes, for disturbing the peace. And somebody in the bar answered the phone. And you're like, you hung up. Like, then we talked later, like, oh my God, they had a crazy night. So, those are great days. It was a great way to start our friendship and a friendship with Space Out Radio. And I had a lot of time. And I got to say, to this day, I kind of do miss the bar just a little bit, just for those,
You need to
those
open up a
times.
Sasquatch bar. You need to
You
open
know?
up a Sasquatch bar. You've got the experience, you've got the knowledge, you've had the success.
Yeah.
You know, Michigan needs a Sasquatch bar. That's all I'm saying.
It's gosh, I'm so busy. It's always in the back of my mind. I would just have to think of a cool location. Out somewhere in the middle of the woods up north, perhaps. That is not written. That's not off the table, Dave. It's certainly there because I did enjoy that. I did that for 13 years. And then, by fate, by luck, premonition, I sold it pre-COVID and boom, I started getting into the media side of things with Sasquatch and Dogman and all these crazy cryptids and strangeness in the world that surrounds us today.
You know what? I got to tell you, man, if I could, I would totally open up a Sasquatch bar. My little dream is to have my own bar going, rocking out because real music, none of this, this crap we hear today,
Yep.
and then on the side have a soundproof studio where I could go in and broadcast live with cameras going inside the bar, and,
Yes.
and then in a different room have like a tattoo shop. I want
Oh,
to combine all three.
well, that sounds fantastic. You could get your Space Out Radio on, get your drink on, get a tattoo all at the same time.
Oh yeah.
One
Oh,
stop shopping.
I think it'd be great. I
That's
really do.
fantastic. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we could do it together, buddy.
Yeah, we
We could
could.
do it.
Hey,
You had a Sasquatch encounter
yeah,
a number of years ago that affected you profoundly.
yeah,
And this is what's led you to becoming the man you are today regarding this career and this subject. You know, I don't know if you want to share that story again or whether it's a little bit too painful, but I know you have on this show before, but it's amazing how people come together when it comes to this type of storyline and what it's all about and how you got here. Maybe tell the people a
yeah,
little bit about your background.
yeah. I can do that. Dave, it's actually in 2018, June 15th, 2018. I did have an encounter with a Bigfoot. And I'll tell the story, I give the Reader's Digest version. But since that encounter and what had happened to me, it's kind of led to where I am today with writing the book and everything. I'll get into that a little later, but I'll just preface this story, which started me on this path. It was June 15th of 2018. And I took my wife, not my wife, my girlfriend, Cindy, to a Cadillac, Michigan. And I said, "Hey, Cindy, we're going to do some fishing. I'm an outdoorsy type of guy." And I said, "Look, you got to do some of the things that I like to do. So let's just get out and let's go do some fishing." I already rented a little cottage at Lake Cadillac. I rented a small little fishing boat. Now it's not your average boat. It was kind of like a skiff, if you will. It was big enough for two people, enough to tool around this lake. Now, Lake Cadillac's a very big lake. We get out there, we get on the lake. So we're out in the boat about 10 o'clock in the morning. And Now, Lake Cadillac itself is built up. There's a lot of beautiful homes. There's a lot of small little businesses, little shops. So it's very quaint, very pretty, a beautiful community. So about an hour goes by and Cindy looks at me. She's already bored, did not get a single bite of anything, no fish, nothing. So I said, let's just do some exploring then. So again, Cadillac, Lake Cadillac, big lake. We traverse about the lake. Then I come up to this canal. Now, this canal leads to another lake, which is another very big lake. It's called Lake Mitchell. And Lake Mitchell, very expansive. What I love really though about Lake Mitchell is it backed up to the Manistee National Forest. So you had the backdrop of the forest, the beautiful blue water, and yes, was there some houses in the area? There was. There's quite a few houses, but they were more spread out, but not as abundant as Lake Cadillac. So we're about 90 feet out from shore, drifting right along the shoreline. Very beautiful, beautiful. The sun is high, bright orange sky, sun, blue sky. Cindy is standing up, looking toward the shoreline, and I'm fixing our tackle. So I'm looking down, and Cindy says to me, "Hey Rob, I think someone's throwing rocks at the boat." And I look up at her. I look to the shoreline. I say, "Cindy, there's nobody there." Go about my business. Again, I look down, I'm putting the tackle together. Cindy, a little more abruptly, said, Rob, look, I think there's someone throwing rocks at the boat. Now I'm a little perturbed. I look at her, I look to the shoreline, nothing there. Says, Cindy, give me 1 second. I'm almost done with the tackle. I'll get up and I'll join you and we'll start fishing and I'll look along the shore with you. She's like, fine, whatever. Already kind of, gives me a little attitude. So, whatever the reason, Dave, I look up into the sky and I see an object falling from the sky. Um, and I try to make it out. And then all of a sudden it plops maybe 4 feet in front of the boat. And yeah, I recognize it's definitely a rock, maybe the size of a baseball. Kerplunk. I look to Cindy to my right to kind of apologize and say, yeah, there's maybe someone's throwing rocks. Again, this is June 15th. She's a sun worshiper. She's head to toe, Dave. That tan that she had already June 15th, her whole body was drained of all color. She was as white as a ghost. And I'm like, what is she looking at? I look to the shoreline and they're standing there along shore. Now you got to remember, we're about 90 feet away from shore. Standing there, had been 9 foot tall, covered in reddish brown hair, is this humanoid looking creature. Now, again, you've got to remember in 2018, Bigfoot is not on my radar. Now, with that being said, I did see the Leonard Nimoy Bigfoot story, how that unfolded. I did see Patterson Gimlin. I was aware of a Bigfoot, and yes, I was interested. And I tried to find books on it. And this is pre-internet, way back as a kid when I seen all this. So you can only get so much information. But I'm the type of guy, I've always been interested in aliens, UFOs, strange creatures, strange subject matter. So anyway, fast forwarding to Cindy and I in 2018, I see this thing. Now it's standing again, 9 foot tall, reddish brown hair. Its arms are on its side. And I'm looking at this face. This face looked human, but it looked like a person that had a deformity. I used to say Down syndrome. I kind of try to alleviate that verbiage today, but really that's what it reminded me of. It had offset eyes. The front of the face was like a wrinkled, crusty gray. The chest was gray, but all this beautiful flowing reddish brown hair. And I'm looking at this. Now, from the side, it raises its arms parallel to the lake. It thrusts back that head. It drops, the jaw literally drops 6 to 8 inches. The mouth expands. And I always tell people like Pac-Man, it was this big exposed mouth. I see 2 teeth, canine teeth at the top, at the bottom are 2 like narrower or tighter. The teeth are tighter together and sharper, and they're going up. Its eyes roll back black, and it now metamorphoses into what I today call a demon. It looked like a demon, Dave, and now that's what it looked like. But now in unison with this jaw drop, with this gaping mouth, you could fit a softball, maybe even a bowling ball in. All in unison, it roars, this scream, yell, this guttural sound just emanates from that shoreline across the water to myself and to Cindy. We're both standing, and we get hit with some sort of Duke Sullivan likes to call it a sonic blast. He always kids me. But I felt a reverberation hit my body. Now, Cindy, all 5'1" and 109 pounds, excuse me, I hear she falls off, lets out a scream, and falls off this boat into the water. Now, I'm looking at this demon, but now, Dave, as I mentioned earlier, the sun, the bright orange of the sun, the blue sky, the beautiful green of the forest, I'm looking through a filter. It lost the color. It got dull. It seemed like time stood still. And now I know, though, that I've got to move to my right and get her. But now I'm paralyzed. I cannot move. I cannot move. So I just start kind of shaking my head, trying to shake my head and thinking, snap out of this, snap out of this. I snap out of it. Finally, now the color comes back. I'm cognizant now. I get in, I get Cindy into this boat. Scary part here as well is I looked ashore that this thing is gone. Don't see it. Now I'm frantic. Where is it? Is it swimming after us? I mean, I have no idea. All these thoughts are going through my head. I jettison that boat around and I speed across Lake Mitchell. I speed through that canal. I get all the way to Lake Cadillac, right to the approximate area where I launched the boat. I get out. I put like a beach towel or something around Cindy. I look immediately for some place to go sit down. Find this corner bar about a half block up. It's it's about 12:15 in the afternoon, 12:30. It's like the middle of the week, so it's not real busy. Walk in, there's maybe a customer or two to our right. I go to the left, in the back corner left of this bar. I find a booth. I sit down. Cindy's across from me, and we're still not saying anything yet. We're just kind of looking at each other, and she's still kind of getting the shiver out of her body. Barmaid comes up. What you guys having? Cindy, not a drinker, is the first one to order. She says, I'll have a shot of Jack Daniels and a Bud Light, bottle of Bud Light. And I'm like, whoa. And then the barmaid looks to me and I said, I'll have the same, but make mine a double. Again, barmaid takes her order. Cindy now and I are still not speaking. Barmaid comes back, puts the shot in front of Cindy, the bottle of beer. I get 2 shots, 2 beers. She takes that whiskey, that Jack Daniels, throws it back like a champ, probably drink half the bottle of Bud Light to wash it down. I do the same. Now we kind of, got that burn going on. And she's like, Robbie, honey, what do you think that was? And I look at her and I said, Cindy, I'm not sure. What do you think it was? And then she says, now she and I had never, ever in our life together spoke of any cryptids or any Bigfoot. She says, I think maybe it was that Bigfoot creature. And I'm like, you know what? I think maybe it was. It could. I don't know what else it could be. So she had made mention, should we report this to the DNR, call the police? And I'm like, you know what? Not a good idea in my mind right now. Yeah, 2 people from southern Michigan come to northern Michigan, have Taiwan on. They might just think that we're just, making something up. Yeah, I guess you're right, Rob. So we ended. I mean, we don't spend the weekend there, man. We just packed everything up. We went home. So we get home. We immerse ourselves now into whatever you can find on the internet, YouTube. And this is 2018. So yeah, obviously internet was available. We couldn't really find anything, Dave, that matched what we saw. Some things were close. That humanoid looking figure could not find it all. The demonic looking thing, yeah, similar, but not it. Which just wasn't doing it for me nor her. So we immersed ourselves in the subject. So at August 15th of 2018, exactly 2 months to the day, Dave, Cindy passed away. I called the mom. The mom never liked me. I owned the bar. I'm a devil because I am a drinker. I own a bar. So she would not give me, she said she had a heart attack, which today I don't buy. So that's the one thing that still haunts me is not knowing. Till this day, Dave, 5 years later, I don't know what caused her death because we were not married. I'm not a friend. I'm not a family member. I can't obtain any records. I've tried. So that bugs me even today. And so I went in a deep, dark place. I owned the bar at the time and I went to my bar manager and I said, look, man, there's some things I need to work out. Here are the keys to the bar. Open it, close it, do me a favor. And all I ask is this: put the money in the bank. Don't rip me off. I don't know when I'm returning. And I said, don't forget, I can monitor the bank from the phone, but that's about all I'm going to do. Rob, yeah, man, no problem. And I've known this guy a long time. He was joined up with me when I opened the bar. So I trusted him and sure enough, man, it was 6 months. I finally went back. I got a hold. I didn't know anybody in the field of cryptids. I got a hold. I ran into finally Duke, and I talked to Duke Sullivan, of course. Then I started watching these shows. You're one of the first shows I came across. Now your show a lot back then was a lot predicated, on UFOs and that, but you did a lot of cool Bigfoot stuff. And then I found other Bigfoot shows, and so that kind of started me down the path. And the Bigfoot Mission Rob YouTube channel just started because I put out some dumb video about my encounter. Someone suggested you've got to speak this out, you've got to verbalize this, you've got to let it out. So okay, my name's Rob, I saw Bigfoot, I live in Michigan. So I made this video. 2 months later, I had like 2,000 views, which I've now made private because when I look back at it, it's quite embarrassing. First thing I ever did in my life, media wise. But that was the born of my channel, and that's what kind of started me on the path that I'm on today.
We got 1 minute to go here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Bigfoot Michigan Rob came with us. When you jumped into this business, you jumped in 2 feet ahead, and is it because you need to find out for yourself what that creature was on the shore? I mean, if it was like a weird looking Bigfoot or maybe one of them gugways that we hear
Yeah.
about, I mean, is that why you do it? 40 seconds.
I do want to know what it was. I've had so many great people tell me and give me their opinions and their theories, and they're all different. Yeah, I'd like to know what it was because what I seen does not match up to the pictures or the videos I've seen. I'm convinced it probably today. I think it was probably a Bigfoot. And I just think when it metamorphosized, like the baboon, you can see a baboon, and when it pulls back its skin and shows its teeth, it looks different than its original character. When they're frightened, they look different. So I'm thinking this thing was frightening me to get me out of the area. But am I 100% sure what I saw, Dave? The answer is no.
And on that note, Rob, we're going to get you to hold on right there because we do got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. When we return, Sasquatch, more stories from Bigfoot Michigan Rob. We got him right here on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. All right, dude, we're clear. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah.
Hi, Linda B. Who else has showed up here late? That's it. Oh. So I did something this weekend that I've never done before. I did one of those escape room puzzles where they put
Okay.
you in a room. My family, we did that twice yesterday. Didn't finish both of them. An hour is just not enough. But God, are they fun? I'm like
So
totally addicted now.
now is that like on a computer or a puzzle on a
No,
board game type deal?
no,
Puzzle?
no. You walk into this building and then they
Oh,
lock.
okay.
Then
Oh, okay.
they put you in a room, and then you have to solve the mysteries by looking at stuff at the walls and hidden codes and
Oh,
unlock all
wow.
these padlocks that that are keeping you from moving on, and you have to make your way through 3 rooms. So,
Wow. Now that'd be pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of about a decade ago, I did the murder train. There was like a
oh,
train
yeah.
you go on and where they do the murder mystery where everybody that goes out, you buy the ticket and you know that they're going to stage a murder, but you're up to the people on this train, that we were on to solve the crime, which is pretty fun. I didn't solve it. I had no idea. But Dave, that sounds pretty cool. I like to do something like
Oh,
that.
yeah. We did 2 different rooms. This one turned into, like, this Egyptian room at the end, and, the second one was like a witch's haunting. We never figured that one out. We got into the second room, but couldn't figure our way out to the third.
Wow.
But, yeah, it's pretty tough sometimes, man. I will totally do that again. I'll do it before the end of summer again. Just
No,
it
I
was
definitely gotta check that out. That sounds like I'd be into something like that. That'd be an awesome time.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta put your thinking cap on.
Yeah.
Like I didn't the first room we didn't know what to think. And then out of the blue, I find this booklet that just set off a big trail of everything that we had to try and solve. And once we got into the third room, it was like we were panicking for time and nothing really happened. My little guy was solving some of these locks pretty awesomely. I mean, it's like, man, but yeah, I highly recommend if you get the opportunity to do an escape room, please do it. And and you will have so much fun like literally we did it last night, then we went for dinner, and they were like, screw it, we got to go back and do another one. So we did another one at like 9:30 last night, and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. I would totally do it again.
No, I definitely totally would do that. That sounds cool. Yeah, I'm into stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
like I said, I did the murder train mystery thing. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I can't recall. Like I said, I didn't solve it, but it was still so neat. And it's cool to mingle with people and come across all these people and what they're all about, how different people are and what their theories are. Everyone's trying to be the sleuth, like um,
Mhm.
Holmes and Watson type thing. Because you had to go. It was a couple thing too, so you worked with your couple, with your significant other. So it was pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty intense. Pretty intense. And I would like I said, totally do it again. Totally do it again. Let's see here. Geez, we got 223 people. All of them wanting an autographed bandana from you.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have a couple bandanas on my store, but I'm not happy with them. I've been looking for a supplier to do a really cool ones. I've been
We need a
looking for a
big
year.
big picture of you up here.
Yeah, well, I've got one that's like that on my thing, but on my store. But yeah, it's only one side, the other side's like white. It's just, yeah, it's again, Dave, we were talking backstage. There's always a work in process with everything we do, right?
Oh yeah.
Try to, you got to make it perfect. So,
Hold on right there, my man. Thank you to
yes.
Derek, Lala, Deb, and Kim for the great super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. Here comes the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag, and move on from there. All right, let's go. Bigfoot Michigan Rob is here, and we are hanging on out talking about his great new book you could get on Amazon. And I highly suggest you go on out and you say, hey, Bigfoot Michigan Robbie, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? Tell us about this book called Bigfoot Michigan Rob's Presents True Cryptid Encounters Book 1. Yeah, you want this one for your library. Bigfoot Rob, welcome back. Hold on, I got you on mute here, buddy. I got you on mute. That's my problem here. There we go.
I thought, I thought that was me. I often do that myself. But yeah, thanks, Dave, for having me on. Actually, excuse me. The show started out perfectly because I got a chance, to share my encounter story. Some people have heard it, some perhaps that's the first time, but so that set me forward into thinking. So now, as you know, and again, I'm not on here just to say promote me and all this. Then I started my Bigfoot Mr. Rob channel, got that rolling. And then, so I did these shows interviewing people because I want to interview people that knew about these cryptids and Bigfoot because hopefully it would help me solve my mystery. That was really the crux behind it.
And let me put it this way, Rob. I know exactly how you feel. And what I mean by that is when I started having my own experiences with UFOs, everything I saw was completely different. Similar, but always completely different than what other people had seen. So, for instance, when I saw my black triangle, everybody sees them with 3 lights on each corner, sometimes 4 with 1 in the middle. Mine had a full undercarriage full of lights. Why? Why was mine different? Okay. And it's been a number of things like that over the years that have pushed me towards why have my encounters been so much different than everyone else's? And how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel frustrated that, what you saw on the beach that day, that 9-footer on the beach, how it looks so different compared to everybody else's report? Like, do you get frustrated by that?
Even till this day, I'm frustrated. As I said, when this happened, when I went back home, again, this is 2018, so the internet was up. I didn't even know YouTube had like shows like this. I didn't even know that YouTube did videos. I just thought YouTube was a place where you could watch music or type in how to fix a flat, how to bake a cake. I mean, that's what I use YouTube for.
Yep.
So when I found the YouTube and started just typing on the internet, it was frustrating because what I saw, the humanoid figure, I can't I tell you what, Dave, I've not yet come across that anywhere. Now, really quickly, Sibylla Irwin and I are working on the rendition, and that's coming to full focus for me. So that'll be something I'll be introducing later in the month or in a couple months, which is fantastic. She's finally presenting something that is mine. Now, with that being said, very frustrating. The demonic looking metamorphosis, very frustrating. And even what was more frustrating is when I started the channel and I had researchers on, prominent people and some not so prominent, of course, that they couldn't figure out what I was explaining to them, you know? And then I got flack from some people referring to Bigfoot as a demon. Well, you gotta remember something. I knew nothing about this subject. I hadn't even started studying the subject. I was of the opinion, nope, not the friendly forest giant, not the protector of the woods, because at this time I got in that deep area where I thought this was responsible for Cindy's death. I thought when we got hit with that sonic blast that her little insides got tattered and torn and juggled around. I mean, 2 months later to the day passes. So no, I was not a fan of cryptids, not a fan of Bigfoot, not at all. I thought it was a monster. And in my early days starting this, Dave, I took a lot of flack for referring to it in a negative light. Now, today, after doing this for a while, 2 years I've been doing my show, I've come around the corner and I don't think that all these cryptids are evil or have ill intent. I think that what happened to me perhaps was protecting its territory. Perhaps there were children around. So it gave me that scowl and that look. But but it's still frustrating to me that I still don't know what it was 100%.
How far away from it were you?
Like I said, I was 90 feet, like from first to second base,
That's very, very close.
you know.
Very close.
So yeah, so yeah, I mean, the answer to the question, no, yeah, till today, it's still frustrating. And of course, not knowing how she passed on is another frustrating element to the entire story. But so, so again, I was lost. I was in this area in 2018 up through 2019, halfway through 2019, where I was lost. I was alone, and I felt if I told somebody that I would be ridiculed, judged. You're making that up. That didn't happen. You never saw that. So I was a very frustrated person until I talked to several folks. I always mentioned Duke and a couple others, and when I first started going on a couple shows, it was kind of therapeutic. The first two shows I did, Dave, I started crying and I was embarrassed because I could not get out a sentence. Okay.
Well, I think we were number one for you.
I think, yeah, I did it with you. Yeah, I did a show with you a couple years ago back yeah, I did. I was on with you and I remember the show and I wasn't happy with it because I was so nervous and didn't know what to say. Yes, that was not a very good show, I didn't think, for me. And then a couple others that I was on, it was just the same thing until I finally, I don't tell this to many people. I saw a therapist and I got a guy and I didn't feel comfortable with him. Then I got a woman and started walking through this. And I believe that she believed me. At least she believed my mental state, right? Helped me go through a lot of things. So I did go through a lot, PTSD. So every time I talk about the story, I feel better. And when I feel when I do the show or when I feel stories from people and let them tell their story, it's therapy for me because I won't turn anybody away that has an encounter story where they feel grief or trauma or that they're alone because I was alone. I had grief. I needed therapy. I needed counseling, man. So for me, writing this book is really dedicated to those men and women who in anonymity come forth. They don't want to be on the show, but they want to tell their story. And I'm not unique to this. Other people do it, Dave, but I put the book together dedicated to them and those people that know you have a place to go with BMR. I'm a safe place to go to, and our other platforms that we have across the board. So that's really the reason why the book came about for these other people that tell their stories. And again, for me, it's therapeutic. And until this day, I'll never have the answers, Dave. The biggest answer I want to know is how my girlfriend passed away. As far as the Bigfoot, this enigmatic creature, I don't think we'll ever really fully know or understand.
Right.
Today, though, I don't. I will tell you this: what I saw was probably not a demon, although I still describe it as such when it did the metamorphosis.
I want to ask you before we start getting into your brand new book that can be found on Amazon, and that is Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters Book One. How, since that incident, has your attitude and your thoughts of Bigfoot changed?
Well, prior to the incident, I thought that Bigfoot probably existed because you have to remember, as a young man growing up, a kid, prior to my encounter, I was into all of this stuff. Bigfoot, the term cryptid I didn't really recognize. I knew Bigfoot, Leonard Nimoy, Patterson Gimlin. I was always into the alien, the UFO thing. I saw a UFO in my backyard when I was about 8 years old. I saw ghosts at about 5 years old. I seen ghosts in my bar. I was always open to all these things. Then coming across the encounter, though, as I said in the very beginning, I just thought it was some evil creature. Now, 5 years later, Dave, I don't think that all these cryptids or Bigfoot are evil. Now, in the book, there are a couple Bigfoot encounter stories that are kind of creepy, but I find that the thing that I find to be more evil would be like the Dogman. But with Bigfoot itself, I think they just want to be left alone in the forest. And I think that what I seen and came across was protecting something. It's the family, the fishing. Maybe I was in this fishing area. And I have spoken to several people that live in on Lake Mitchell, which was adjacent to Lake Cadillac, that believe that Bigfoot or some sort of creature does roam the area. Because I got quite a few emails and comments on my the video about, yes, Rob, you're definitely not crazy. There's something out here. So which that resonates with me and gives me some relief that yeah, I wasn't hallucinating, which I wasn't. But so with that being said, yeah, today I just roll with it today, Dave. There's good and bad in everything. There's good human beings, there's bad human beings, and I approach that today with the cryptid world.
I get that. Okay. So, but for a long time, I asked you that question because I knew you were holding a grudge against this creature because of what happened to your girlfriend, whether it was some infrasound or just fear left over from this that absolutely devastated the rest of her life, which was cut tragically short. Okay, and this is why I'm wondering, like, how have you matured in going through that situation where you were harshly critical against this creature and what it's all about to where you are now, where you are now researching this on a full-time basis?
Well, I tell you, when that happened, within a week after Cindy passed away, I was ready to go. I called a bunch of buddies, and this is the true story. I called a bunch of buddies, guys, grab your shotguns, your rifles. We're going somewhere. And then I had to tell them the story. And they're like, "What? You're what?" Of course, I didn't go. But my attitude, if I had a machine gun or a bazooka, I'd have went by myself and just lit that area up. That's how crazy my thinking was. Of course, I didn't do it. I never drove a foot out of my driveway to attempt this. But yes, I was insanely holding a grudge. Now, as I got a hold of some people they talked me through it, and I got to tell you, Dave, with all the research I've done looking into Bigfoot, there's Bigfoot don't go out and kill people. Yeah, have we heard 2% of a story where there might be a death associated? I just don't find it. I just don't find Bigfoot associated with anybody passing away or doing anything that horrible. Other stories out there, yes. Today, after 5 years later, Dave, yeah, I'm pretty mature with it. I don't think it had anything to do with it. I don't think they're an evil creature. Um, Again, as I mentioned, highlighted in the book, Dogman are probably more responsible for deaths in the forest than a Bigfoot.
Right.
So just to answer that, I'm cool with Bigfoot. Everybody, I think hey, like I say, there's the good and the bad, and I don't hold a grudge against it today, simply because of talking to so many people now since in the last 2 years, Dave. I'm kind of realizing that it's a beast of the forest or humanoid, whatever verbiage you want to use. It just wants to be left alone, man. It just wants to do its thing. Maybe it'll show itself to play with you, laugh at us, and they know they can do whatever they want. If they wanted to kill us, they could, and they don't bother. So no, I don't think it's responsible kind of answer the question in that term.
Now, your book is filled with true encounters. And yes, it's anecdotal stories that people have had,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, you are filled with true encounters of everything that has gone on, and the stories that people have relayed to you. Why did you feel it was important to bring these true encounters forward?
I feel it was important because if I go back to 2018, I will say this. In 2018, while Cindy was with me, it was just it was just so fascinating what we saw. And, what is this? We're still reluctant to tell the story, but we were like too giddy. After we got over the shock of this beast and seeing it in a different color, her falling off the boat, after getting through that initial shock, and I won't say trauma, but man, it's just something your mind needs time to process. So we started getting into it, and we started, joking about it and thinking, yeah, we should become Bigfoot hunters or something. But what happened when she died, Dave, is when I just went night and day. I went dark. I went to darkness because I blamed it on this creature. So with that being said, I do the stories for the people, and they're in anonymity. I've asked them to be on the show. They're like, "No, Rob, don't even use my name. I need to tell this. I need to have it heard." And I've done a lot of these on video form on my channel too. A lot of these encounters you can find on in video form. And then I just started talking to some of these people. I'm thinking about doing a book about your encounter. Would you mind if I put it in? Oh, absolutely. It's because a lot of these souls are lost souls out there, Dave. I will tell you, there's more lost souls out there in this world when it comes to cryptids than we realize. I was one of them. So today I have peace of mind. So what I'm doing with the book is providing peace of mind for these folks that have nowhere to go still today, but they want their story out there and to be heard. Not a, they don't want the 15 minutes of fame. Most of them, they don't. I happen to believe that they just want to hear it, whether it's on a video or written, where they can read it. Because I do talk to a lot of people as well and say, look, you have to talk about this and get it off your chest. Just like any problem you have in life, it doesn't matter what it is, the passing of a loved one, you have an addiction to something, or you have problems at work. If you keep these things in, Dave, these are the things that I believe that drive us to do things we normally wouldn't do, or act irrationally. So to me, you have to mentally get that focus where you can verbiage this or verbalize it and get it out there. So I do it to help people more like for me, it was therapy. So to me, it's like kind of a therapeutic book. I know this sounds funny because it's a cryptid book. I mean, there's scary stories, there's happy stories, there's like bizarre stories. But to me, if the person that I'm penning this for gets any relief, then I think I did my job.
How did you go about choosing these stories?
Well, well, a lot of them they all came via email, and I would just go through and start reading ones that captured. If I had, if I felt like an empathy toward the person, like, wow, the stories really gets to me. It's tugging at me a little bit because a lot of the stories I can recognize that I've been there. They're not all in the book. There's 45. I selected 45 stories. And I've probably got about 112. So I picked 45 that I resonated with the most, with the ones that I felt really empathetic toward and had empathy towards the person. Some of them I even did some back research and kind of looked up certain state parks or certain areas which kind of matched. Again, as I said, my story was out there, so I didn't like vet it like 100%. But if I thought it sounded, if if I felt the person needed told, is where I went with it. Just the empathy factor, not so much if it was scary. Because I'll tell you what, I'll tell everybody listening, there are some scary ones, but there are some boring ones. There's Bigfoot crossing the road. The stories range from, if you read them, they're from 2 pages to 8 pages. So a reader could read one story in 5 minutes. You can read a story in 17 minutes. The average story is maybe 12 minutes of reading. So it really varied on the location and how I felt about the person. And because I was just trying to put myself in their shoes and wondering, yeah, I think that needs to be heard.
Mhm. You can tell the emotion that you have for not only this subject, but for the people who are sharing their stories with you. As we have about 3 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour, you take these stories, whether they're anecdotal or not, you take them very seriously, and that you somebody is trusting you with that encounter. For you, what do you get out of it? What do you get from these people sharing some of their most intimate encounters with this creature we call Sasquatch? Because not everybody has them. Not everybody fully understands or comprehends what it's like to be face to face with a 9, 10 foot creature.
What I find really most rewarding about this is when I get the email and read the story, then when I would email the person back for maybe some more detail or description, first of all, they would send me an email back. Thank you so much for watching this, reading this. I'm so appreciative. So actually, this goes back to your earlier question as well that I forgot. When they responded back to me and we had an open dialogue via mostly through email, Dave, I could tell in their penmanship back that they were most appreciative. So when I could have that open dialogue and have a connection with the person is what I get the most out of, because I can tell when speaking with them that they are sincerely grateful and happy. And that makes me happy and grateful because that's the only reason. That's why he did this. I could have wrote any type of book, Dave, to try to make $1 million, anything, but I chose to go with people that have the same experiences that I did. And I will also say this, for many of these stories in this book, it's all their first time. They're one and done. Had this encounter, and that's it. Most of them aren't researchers. There are a handful that are some researchers not well known, but they've said, Rob, I look for Bigfoot, I look for Dogman. Here's a story. I will read it and put it out there. But the vast majority of these stories are a one and done where they just had a terrible encounter. And again, in the book, everybody, they're not all terrible. There are some very happy ones. There's some enlightening ones in there. It's a mixture of everything. It just the ones that are a little more traumatic. I'm gravitated to because I was that exact same person.
I hear you there, and I know what that's like. It's very troublesome. It really is very troublesome to try and balance the entire act. You're trying to be professional, you're trying to see all sides of it, but when you can't catch the emotions of real people explaining their real experience, that's where things get a little bit troublesome because you don't know how they're going to react to whether or not they want you to tell their story. And when we come back from the break here at the top of the hour, Bigfoot Michigan Rob is going to share with us a couple of the stories that he has on Bigfoot. And out of his brand new book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, which can be found on Amazon right now. It's a good one to add to your library. Spaced Out Radio continues. Hour 2 next. There we go, big guy.
Cool.
It's all on you the next show or the next hour. It's all on you.
Yeah, it's all I mean. Yeah, I got some good stories. Like I said, there's some pretty cool stories in the book. A couple I'll do from memory. I might read a couple of the shorter ones,
Sure.
but yeah. So however you want to do it, man. And
Yeah,
I have to go take a quick little break here for a minute.
me too. We'll be right
All
back.
right. All right.
All right, don't worry. Dirty Filth can handle this for the time being. And if you're bored, go to filthy.com, FYLTHY.com. Scoop yourself a copy of my book and buy one for your mom too. And your parrot. If you have a parrot, it's like 250 some odd pages. So if you have a parrot or a bird, it's like 250 days worth of bird liner. Anyways, I hope everybody's having a wonderful night. It was a long weekend here in Canada, so all us Canadians are a little bit slower today. Oh, yes. Geez, I should be talking here. Cats are kind of bugging me as well. So I hope everyone's having a good night. Hi, Lovey Love. Hi, Stargazer. Hi, Debster. War Criminal. Keep following orders, buddy. Mr. Brown Dwarf. Jenny White Bear. Thanks, everybody, for coming and hanging out here. What's all that a boot? We don't actually say a boot. Sometimes. Dave keeps telling me to draw cartoons, so I'm here every night. I love doing it. It's awesome. Sit here, draw cartoons, get to ramble to a bunch of people at some point in time while drawing cartoons. Works out for me. I've started drawing cartoons, not cartoons, art cards rather, for Reno next year. So if you go to the Spaced Out Radio thing in Reno next year, I've already started doing them. I've got like 10 or 11 done now. Where's Blob and Whiskey? Doug Shelby, Blob and Whiskey. I have no idea. The door is still open downstairs, so they're prancing the neighborhood. Prancing. I don't think I can use that. Hi, Barry Brown. Ooh, New Orleans, eh? Ooh, Derek Galloway. I'd overdose on gumbo if I was down there. Oh, yeah. Gumbo and cornbread. I want to go have gumbo from some like voodoo lady. Even if it was cursed gumbo, I would be okay with it. I want some real gumbo. Anyways, I'm rambling here. I apologize. Cursed gumbo. Cursed. Ooh, I got a pal that lives in New Orleans. I definitely have a couch to sleep on. I guess I'll have to pressure Dave to make the next one in New Orleans.
All right. I am back. Looks good, Dirty Filth. I'm going to assume Dirty Filth never turned his microphone on. Would I be right, public? Did Dirty Filth turn his microphone on? Or is he chasing cats somewhere? Hello there, Bigfoot Rob.
Hello, David Scott. Davey.
What's happening?
You know, had to let the dog out, as you say.
Yeah. Oh, Dirty Filth having some computer issues. Hey, Pammy Smith, how are you? We got like 10 seconds here.
Okay.
Thank you to our super chatters. Hi, TMI. And here we go with hour number 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Obtend. Obtend is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight talking with our good friend, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who has gone from experiencer to researcher and now adding the title on his resume to author, as he's got his first book out called Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters Book 1. And Rob, congratulations on this brand new adventure for you, man. I'm so excited for you.
Yes, thanks for that, Dave. Thanks for having me on and talk about this. I'm so excited myself. And, really quickly, I wrote a book. When I was in my early 20s, back when we had the really lame computers, I was writing a book. It was a fictional piece because I've been I grew up monsters. I wrote a book about a vampire named Gabriella that lived in the Pacific Northwest. This is well before Twilight. No, it was not a love story, everybody, but it was about a female vampire that lived in the cave systems of the Pacific Northwest. So, long story short, Dave, I had 327 pages written. Electrical storm came. I had no idea how to back up files or save files. So, again, I took some time writing this. The electrical storm came, Dave, and boom, lost every single word.
Oh, my.
And I said, I will never write a book again. And yeah, and that was like back when I was like 26, 27, man. I was talk about being distraught for like forever. And now here I am, 25 years later, penned a book. So yes, I'm very excited.
I think it's absolutely exciting that you've done that, especially I love true encounters. It's one thing to go out and document everything that's kind of out there, okay, and trying to explain it with your own twist on words, but you didn't do that. You have taken people's true encounters and really put pen to paper and brought them to life.
Yes.
Give us an example of one from the book, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. This is a cool story. People might have heard this before. Of course, this story kind of resonates with me. We're going to change it from Bigfoot to Dogman right quick. And this is really a very popular one. I put this out on the channel some time ago. And what resonates with me is this was sent to me. For one, is from the state of Michigan, and it was on an island, Groseal, Michigan, where this couple lived. Now, this story dates back when they were in their late to early 30s, and they were prominent people in Groseal. They did not specify doctor or lawyer, but I'm figuring probably that's what they were. And I could tell the way this was written and the way the man conducted himself. So this husband and wife, they're in Groseal, Michigan, on East River Road in Groseal. And yeah, and this one, Dave, I did do some research and look up to try to qualify some things because it's such a phenomenal story. Beautiful home on Groseal. The house sat up upon a hill, and you go down the hill, and right in front of them was a beautiful beachfront property that looked out to a chain of islands in front of them. And they lived on the big island, Groseal. So after about a year and a half into the house, they're upstairs sitting around watching television, and they heard in the distance, these strange howls, almost like a dog barking or a wolf. Now, again, there's no wolves in Groseal. There might be some foxes. And they kept hearing these sounds, but they would hear them for 4 or 5 seconds, then dissipate. Then one night, these howls seemed a little bit louder and a little bit more prolonged in length. And they got up, they started walking about their house, and they go down to the basement, and they had a wine cellar in the basement. And they go into their wine cellar, and it seemed like they could really more predominantly hear these howls from inside their wine cellar. So they're looking around and they can't figure it out. They're like, man, this is really strange. So they go back upstairs, they go to bed. A couple days later, they're outside and they go down their hill to the riverfront, and they're enjoying a beautiful day, watching the freighters roll by in the distance, look at this chain of islands in front of them, and they hear these howls. And this is the daytime, and they hear these howls. Now, the strange thing about the howls is they were outside, unlike being in the home where they thought they heard them in their cellar. It was coming from like their property, from like inside the hill. So the husband and wife team, they go up their hill, and they described to me like they had a lot of beautiful plants on the hill, flowers, some shrubbery. And they said, it sounds like this is coming from like in the hill area. What's going on here? So then the howls dissipate. So about a week later, they're in the house, and now they hear these howls again. And now this time again, it's down in their basement. And again, they go in, and they're attracted, and it leads them to their wine cellar. They hear the howls, but it seems like when they went into the cellar, the howls stopped. They went upstairs, and they were just trying to figure out what was going on. So the husband said to the wife, I'm going to go into the cellar tomorrow and start investigating around this cellar. Next morning, the man goes into the cellar with the wife. It's a wine cellar. So as he explains to me, as he walks into the cellar, on the right side, there's a rack of wine on the right, a rack of wine on the left, and in the back, there's another rack of wine. So he takes the handle of a broomstick, and for whatever the reason, he says to me, Rob, he starts taking the broomstick and he is hitting like the walls around the wine racks, and they're solid. He gets to the back. of the wine cellar on the far back, and he hits the broomstick, and it rings hollow. It said a ring like a hollow sound. So he and the wife look at each other like, wow, what is there something in back of this wall? So again, they go upstairs and they start doing some research. This is in the 90s. So whatever research they did, I can't recall, Dave, computer or the library. Their house was built during Prohibition. So during Prohibition on Groseal Island, Dave, a lot of bootlegging activity went on from
Mhm.
Michigan to Canada.
A
And
lot of tunnels too.
pardon me?
A lot of tunnels too.
A lot of time. Yes. So then they found this out. And so they're thinking, wow, is this home one of those homes? Next morning, the man gets up early and he takes down the wine rack in the back, removes it. And then the wife wakes up coming down to him, and he is literally smashing through this hollowed back wall. Honey, what are you doing? She says, honey, I think we've got a tunnel. And he's getting through it. Then he finally gets through. Lo and behold, there is a tunnel. Him and the wife, they look at each other in awe, like, oh my gosh, we have a. And now they're not thinking about these howls or anything. Now they're thinking they've got like one of these. Yes, we have a home from Prohibition. This was a bootlegging home that we have, historical data, to tell all our friends. So they get up the nerve and they walk through this tunnel. They get in the tunnel and as I remember from the book for what he sent to me, he had to like kind of hunch down a little bit because it was like maybe a 4-foot tunnel. So he starts going through this tunnel, and the wife doesn't see him. She gets and follows behind. Then the tunnel gets a little bigger where he can kind of stand. So now this couple, they're walking in this tunnel from the back of their wine cellar, and they're walking. And it's kind of musty smelling a little bit, and it's this and that, and the dirt. There was dirt that was kind of moist and damp. Then he comes up to a set of tracks, which is like four tracks, like a dog. And he's found these dog tracks. He goes, "Well, honey, I think this is what we were hearing. Maybe there's a dog somehow trapped down here." So they're going forward. Now these four tracks, all of a sudden, they turn bipedal, as he explains, and the tracks now seem to get bigger. So now they're looking at you that this is very strange, and I'm certain they don't know anything. And this is the 90s. I don't know what they knew about Bigfoot. And I think Dogman came out maybe in the 90s. I think 87, Linda Godfrey's book came out, I'm not certain.
89.
Okay, 89. So they're walking down this tunnel, but now their ears start to pop, and now because now they realize and they start their breathing is getting labored because now all of a sudden they realize, and there's still tunnel ahead of them, but now they realize that the tunnel must go out underneath the home all the way underneath the river. Okay. And then notice that the sides of the walls are starting to they're wet. It's like then they got fearful and they turned around. So they went back. They turn around. They leave. So they're sitting around and they're like, "Wow, I can't understand what those tracks were about, but that must explain these strange howls." So a day or two goes by. He calls up a friend and they're talking. And then he had brought up something about cryptids and Dogman and things like this. Dogman, cryptids, what are you even talking about? Bigfoot, we don't believe in that. Again, I think they're doctors or lawyers. Certainly a lot of them don't believe, and this guy had them convinced that maybe there's something down there that's not quite a dog. So later that evening they're outside again and they hear these howls from inside the hill of their house. They go in the home, and now they can more predominantly hear the howls from the cellar where he took down the wall. And he makes mention he put the wall back up a couple days later, let it seal, cemented it off, whatever he did. So the buddy urges them on that, hey, we've got to go out. We got to follow this tunnel out to see where it leads from the boat.
Right.
So now they're atop of the house and they look, and it's kind of funny how the house lined up and directly in front of them is a chain of islands. So really they kind of matched up, the guy was saying, from the tunnel to the islands in the distance. So they get the buddy, they get on the boat, and they go to these chains of islands. And the first island, which is directly lines up in front of their home, it's as big. It's like 400 yards long, maybe 250 yards wide. But as they're getting close to it, and they had a 27-foot sea ray boat, and they're getting close now. About 25 yards out or so, it gets very shallow. So now they can't get to this island, and it's uninhabited, uncharted as far as they know. In fact, Dave, I know I'm very familiar with this whole area. A lot of these islands are uncharted, and you're not even allowed on. They're taped off. Some you can go on, some you can't. So they took off. So they anchor the boat down, and they take out a rubber raft with a little Minn Kota trolling motor on or something like that. Probably something similar to what I rode on Cadillac. And the three of these people, they venture out to the island. They get to the island and they can't really get out. There's like a rocky beachfront. And when they went equipped with machetes and this, and they kind of cut through some vegetation, and they stumble across this trail, this path, and they're just walking this trail, and they could tell it's a trail made by like animals. And the funny thing is, they came across a skull of a deer. Now, yeah, and they're like, how many? Now they knew it was now the person with them knew about animals. It was a hunter, in fact. Said, yeah, this is a deer skull. But then they all had the question was this: how did deer get on an island? I mean, this island is out in the middle of nowhere. So it poses the question, it's like, well, Mother Nature, they find their ways, I imagine. But anyway, they kind of blew it off, and about an hour later, they come across the same set of tracks that they had seen in the cellar, these big wolf-like tracks. So we've got to turn around. We've got to get everything together. They're very excited about this. What is this? They leave the island. They plan to go back and do some actual boots on the ground, some research. So a week or two later, they go back, same thing, get on the island. They pick up that trail again where they saw those tracks and the deer skull. They get to about 2 hours later into this. From the wood line, they see two sets of eyes, a set of red glowing eyes right in front of them, and off to their left, another set of glowing eyes, but a little closer to the ground. And they're staring in awe at this. What is this? Now the eyes get closer and closer, and then they appear. Now they come from the woods. And the man says in the story, this was a wolf standing on two legs staring at him. And then the wife to the left mentioned a smaller one come out as well. It came out from the wood line. Now they've got two animals staring at them, looking at them. And he said they were wolves. They were like wolves standing, 6 foot, 7 foot tall, 6 foot tall, and just very menacing looking and staring them down. They got very scared. The smaller wolf or whatever Dogman to the left, to their immediate left, dropped on all fours and ran back into the wood line. And now the man is staring this beast down. And in his head, he gets something in his head that says, you had better leave. The thought came into his mind. Now, he's not saying it's mind speak or telepathy. This is what his brain was remitting to him. Leave now.
Yeah.
The guy leaves, takes off, gets back. They're like, what is going on here? A couple days later, the guy goes down to the neighbor about 50 yards over because the houses are spread apart pretty nicely. And he had asked the guy, hey, have you been hearing strange howls at night? And the man says, coming from that island out there or even on my property. He goes, nope, I haven't heard that. What are you nuts? There's no wolves out here. So that's where the story kind of ends. And then he gave me, and this is one of the cool things about this guy. There's a part 2 to this when he goes back again. I'll save that that's in the book. But so putting 2 and 2 together, so then we converse via email. What do you think that is, Rob? I've seen your channel. I know about Dogman. And now you gotta remember, this is 2023. This happened in the 90s. This man is like gotta be in his 70s by now. And he never told anybody in fear that he was a prominent person. He didn't want to lose his practice, as he had said. So yeah, that was something, man. That was quite the story.
When we got 3 minutes to go, when you hear a story like that, that it involves underground tunnels, it involves, going under a lake. There are so many connections to this and to history that it really makes you wonder, was it a dogman or was it something that was a little bit more ghostly and paranormal?
I think paranormal. First thing I thought was ghostly. A couple things about the story. I still try to put my finger on the deer, right? Now, I've been told by certain people that that are that have told me that yes, that's very possible. Deer swim, and again, surrounding this island, there is a lot of woods, Dave. There are woods and this little state parks. I've never seen a deer swim. I don't know if they can, but to get on that island. But secondly, for this just to appear with the eyes, he has that kind of the mind speak or the. He says it wasn't mind speak or telepathy, but that was what was put in his brain. I think ghostly because, and I revert back to this because I hear a lot more haunted stories about on Grozil about these tunnels where you hear people talking, having a good time, like they're drinking and just hey, kicking back. There's a lot of ghost stories surrounding Grozil Island, and also all the light towers on in the Detroit River are haunted. So what you said is my immediate thought was, yeah, this is something more haunted than perhaps a dog man or something of that nature. But then again, I've heard so many stories about a dog man being a paranormal being, right? Not totally flesh and blood. So, but yeah, I thought it was well worth putting in the book, and I heard the story, and I'm like, yeah, I think he saw something. To go back to see the tracks in the tunnels, see identical tracks on the island. And a lot of these islands you can't get to unless you do exactly what he did. You get on a smaller boat and get on. And most people, Dave, they don't want to bother with that. They want to pull their boat up right on a sandy beach and hang out. They don't want to have to put everybody on a smaller boat and go, especially when this island was so run over with vegetation. They had to do some work to get to find the trail. So yeah, I thought that was a very, very cool story.
Well, when we come back after the break here at the bottom of the hour, because we only have you for another 30 minutes, more incredible stories from Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who has his first Bigfoot book out, cryptid book called Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, which can be found on Amazon right now. So you know what? This is a good one for your library. Honestly, it is. I'm still waiting for my copy to add to mine, but I know it's coming soon. Spaced Out Radio's second half kicks off when we return. Bigfoot Michigan Rob talking cryptids, Sasquatch, ghosts, Dogman, and bandanas. My asshole. There you go. Let's see what Dirty Filth has up here tonight. Oh, what do you got? BMR and me. Oh, nobody will believe us. Look at that, Bigfoot Rob. We're famous here in Dirty Filth Land.
Oh, yes. Very nice. Very nice, Dirty.
Yeah, Sasquatch snuck in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
I like that.
That looks lovely. I would never
Now,
recognize
Rob,
Bigfoot Rob without the bandana.
Yeah, I see that bandana. I like that.
what's the one you're wearing tonight?
I like that shirt too. Yeah. That looks like a good time right there.
Look at you roast marshmallows.
Yeah.
Scoot that up a little bit there.
That looks good, buddy.
I like that. That's very cool.
Marshmallows with Sasquatch.
We can only dream.
Also, by the way, Dave and Bigfoot Michigan Rob, off to the side, they have a large pail of cold water, and they will make sure that they put out their fire properly and they recycle all their empties and they put all the garbage back into the garbage facilities provided by the local forest ranger facilities because they're good people. Right, Dave?
You have to be. You always got to, take out what you bring in.
Right.
And don't feed the wildlife.
You got that right. You got that right.
Look at you. Your hair's pretty accurate, Dave. I didn't put the hat on you this time though, because I said against it. Looks good.
Well, that's okay. That still works for me.
The knees kind of look like my Dirty Filth. I've had surgery on both the left and the right throughout my time. Maybe not quite as pointy, but yeah, you did.
Okay, I'll put a Band-Aid on there for you. I'll put a Band-Aid on there in a second.
Yeah.
There. Now you got
Band-Aids. Well, hell, I had surgery on the one, so I missed that Space Style Radio fan party because of the knee operation I had. We won't talk about that, but yeah. Third time's a charm, Dave. Whatever you got going on. I'll go there.
We're going to Reno next.
Reno, okay.
Yep.
Never been to Reno.
Well, it's time.
I'm excited. You're going to bring more cartoons, Dave.
Dirty Filth is going to get his game on in there and test out the pizza.
I'll be selling pizza and cartoons. Let's go to the 7-Eleven and resell some pizza slices. Yeah. All right, gentlemen.
I never had pizza from 7-Eleven.
What?
No, you have to try 7-Eleven pizza. It's not too bad.
Is it? Okay.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, Lovey Love says drop the link. I can't get to the link. It's just if you just type Beyond Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents in Amazon, you should find it. And one other question somebody had, what's the relation to the tunnel and the island? I don't know if you missed part of that. It was in the tunnel, they heard the howls inside that tunnel and they saw the tracks. It was Arrow, I believe. Tunnel. Yeah, so the sounds emanated from the tunnel. And then they also they heard the same sounds in the distance and on their property. So that's kind of the relationship. And the tunnel was hollowed out for prohibition purposes, I assume.
That would make a good reasoning.
Yeah.
We got about just under 1 minute, buddy.
All right, cool.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night. I shall see you tomorrow.
Dirty Filth, great job again, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
As per usual. We appreciate you.
And also, I guess for everybody who wants a link to the book, if you just go to my YouTube channel, I got the link on my channel somewhere in there. So you can easily get that. But it's pretty easy. You guys all know how to use Amazon. And thank you once again, Dave, by the way.
Always, my friend. Always. Always, 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 because that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. All right, here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go, final half hour with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who has an incredible book out. His first one called Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. Can be found on Amazon. Rob, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure for being on to let me tell my story in the beginning and how I came about doing this book and doing what I do with the channel and all the other things I do. Because, again, the point behind all this is just to help others. And I always preach this to everybody because, again, I know where I was in 2018, 2019, nowhere to go. So that's kind of the reason why I did the channel. And it's really a bigger reason why I did the book, so people can be heard in anonymity. Because again, there's so many people, Dave, that don't want to come forth and talk about their encounters for ridicule. And maybe like this last story I just spoke on, maybe you have a prominent position. Maybe you're worried about your professionalism or being questioned. So I get it. And people have this vented inside themselves. And that's not good to keep that bottled up, whether it's 1 year, 1 week, 20 years, a decade. And so, yeah, so that's for them. It's for the people to have their story heard. So I'm happy that I can do that.
Rob, tell us a Sasquatch story from your book.
Okay. I've got this one. I'm gonna do it from memory. I'm not gonna read nothing. You guys can read it. That's from my memory. There was one. This is a story about a gentleman that was in the Porcupine Mountains. And again, I can revert back to this. Is again, everybody's in Michigan. There's like 4 stories from Michigan. Everybody. The rest are all from all over. But again, these resonate, and I remember them. And this gentleman is out now. This person knew about Bigfoot. He was a Bigfoot researcher, kind of. I mean, not known. Rob, he says to me, "I'm not a known researcher, but I know about Bigfoot, and I'm emphatic about looking for them." So he starts on with his story. Porcupine Mountains, that's in the Upper Peninsula, the western side of the state. He's going down the interstate, looking along the tree line, and then he sees an area where he can park his vehicle, stops his vehicle, gets out and starts walking the wood line. He's looking for basically, Dave, an opening to get into the wilderness or to the forest. Comes across an opening, so he ventures in. Now again, everybody, he comes with his backpack. He's got a machete. He's looking to do some boots on the ground. Traverses about, gets inside, whacks down some brush, and comes upon this trail. He veers to the left of the trail. Then he comes up to to the wood line, another wood line, which is closed off. But then he notices like an opening in here which he can walk through. So he walks through the tunnel. It's not a tunnel like the last story, but he walks through like the cave. But it's made of trees. This is all made of trees and foliage where he can walk through. And the path is kind of beaten a little bit, and he's walking through this. And then as he's walking through, he comes upon this smell. He comes upon a smell of like a dead carcass. He's venturing further. And then, yeah, he comes across a carcass of a deer again, laying in the middle of this path that he's in. And when he looks up, he realizes that he can't see the sky because the trees are overgrown. It's all enclosed. So he sees this carcass of the deer, and he makes mention that this carcass is relatively fresh. But it wasn't. It looked like it was just killed. It wasn't really eaten. Now he does not know if it was killed by a bear and just left there for the bear to come back. From what my understanding is, they'll usually take a predator. Typically, from what I understand, I don't know how accurate I am, is they'll take their prey and they might put it up in a tree or they'll hide it. But this was laying flat out in front of him. So he continues on walking down this path, steps over the deer, and again he has this pungent smell. So he's walking through, and then he got this sense that he should probably turn around. He just had this feeling where he said, "Look, Rob, my inhibition said, you know what, just turn around and leave." So the man turns around and he leaves. So he gets back home, and for weeks upon weeks, it's on his mind that he wants to go back and visit this area because he thinks he's onto something. Perhaps it was just his intuition. So about a week later, he makes sure that he goes back. So he pays another visit to this area. Again, he finds the location, goes in, he's walking through this area, this path, surrounded again by the trees, blocking out the sun. So it's kind of dark inside and shadowy. Walking past, he gets up to the area where he remembers the deer was laid, and there's nothing there. It doesn't, it's gone already. So he continues on. Okay, fine. He's walking further. As he's walking further, again, that stench and that smell comes. Again, he can't pinpoint what the smell is, what the stench is, but he continues on. So he makes mention he's maybe on this trail for 15 or 20 minutes. Then from the back of him, he hears something following him. He hears the crackling of brush beneath the feet. Now, the feet or the foot, the feets wasn't bipedal. It was like an animal. You could tell it was on fours. He was an avid hunter, so he knew sounds, and it was something stalking him, he's thinking. So now this man can't turn around because he'd be walking directly into the path of whatever's stalking him. So he turns around, he can't see anything, so he continues on forward. So he continues on forward. He kind of picks up. He's not running. You're not supposed to run if you're being stalked by a predator, as he says, but he's walking forward, picks up the pace a little bit. And then the area in which he's walking, how I made mention how the branches were kind of over him. Now they get taller. So now it's maybe 7-8 foot on top of him. And so he's like, and he looks ahead and he sees daylight at the end of this tunnel, probably about 20 or 30 yards. But now, whatever this was tracking him, which was on all fours, now he can tell that now it gets up and now he hears bipedal footsteps walking. So now his heart's racing, his adrenaline's going, but he sees daylight. And he's getting close to the end of this. So he looks back over his shoulder and he sees a figure, a shadowy figure, relatively tall, walking fastly toward him. And you're like, oh my Lord, what is this? I think maybe I'm being followed by a Sasquatch. So the man gets out. Finally, he gets to the edge of the tunnel and it opens up. And it opens up to a big meadow. And across the meadow, again, the tree line starts. So this man gets out, dares not look back, and he's running forward. Now he starts to kind of run. He says, and I shouldn't have ran. Looks over his shoulder and he says, back at the opening emerged what says was a Bigfoot. It was big, it was dark, it was black. He says, it wasn't a bear. It looked like a Bigfoot. And he looks and says, oh my God, I saw a Bigfoot, but I don't want to stop and take a picture because he felt that he was threatened in a way, that he was being pursued or stalked. So he just keeps going. But then he stops, he looks around, and this creature's gone. So now the man, though, now realizes he does not want to go back that way, and he does not know where he's at. So now the man is now traversing about the wilderness, goes past the meadow. He finds a trail, and he follows the trail, he says, and it leads to a road. And now he's like relieved. He finds a road. He gets to the road, and he's walking the road, and she's trying to figure out where he is. Has an idea, and he knows where he's at is well. It's quite the distance from where he left his vehicle. So he's hoping he can flag down somebody to give him a ride. An 18-wheeler coming down the road. He's like, oh, thank you. Hopefully this man stops, gives me a ride, because this man was exhausted, full of excitement, maybe some fear, whatever's running through his mind. Waves at the trucker stops. It's an older gentleman. He gets out. He says, yeah, can I help you? He says, sir, I'm trying to locate my car. I think it's blah, blah, blah up the road, several miles or whatever. Can you give me a lift into the general area? Oh, sure. And he said, whereabouts what was the last interstate you were on? He told him, he says, I know where that is. We're 15 minutes away. Thank you, sir. Gets in the vehicle. So they're talking. And so the old man, the truck driver, asks him, let me ask you, sir, what were you doing? This is the Porcupine Mountains. There's a lot of, what are you doing by yourself? And he goes, I got to tell you, I was looking for Bigfoot. It's just sound weird. The man looks at him and goes, did you find anything? He goes, I think I did. And the guy looks at him and says, did you find it out of some old kind of path that was covered in trees where you couldn't see the sunlight? And he goes, yeah. How do you know? Been there, done it. That was Sasquatch you saw.
Amazing. Amazing. Rob, I know your book is all about cryptid encounters,
yeah,
and everything that kind of goes along with it. Do you have a preference, or is it all the same to you, whether it's Sasquatch, Dogman, little gnomes running around?
Dave, now 5 years later, since I love it all, Dave, I love Bigfoot encounter stories, Dogman encounter stories, gnomes, the little people. And yes, I still like my aliens and my UFOs. I'm not as knowledgeable about that, but I'm so interested. But I'm also interested in the ghosts, the mysteries, the unknown mysteries. We could do a show on the ghost story that I had in my bar, where I literally saw 4 apparitions at the end of my bar. I'm into that. And today, Dave, I'm not scared for some strange reason. After my first encounter, I was terrified. But what's cool about what I'm doing today, with the show, with the book, talking to all these wonderful people, for me, I'm more at ease about it. I can talk about anything. And yes, would I like to see a lot of these things? Absolutely. I don't have a preference. I guess it depends on my frame of mind. If I want something creepy and evil, Dogman. If I want something that could go either way, Bigfoot. And but I like the stories about the little people as well, because that's just another fascinating. The gnomes. I was at the creek. There's a creek by my house that I go down to, and it was so fascinating that I often go there just to think and contemplate things. This is the middle of the afternoon. The grass was, and the creek is like a horseshoe, and I'm looking out in this field, and all of a sudden, Dave, I see this stick figure pop up. It had to be 18 inches tall. And I'm thinking, first of all, well, this stick just popped up from the ground. It was probably dry and just popped up. And I'm looking, and then Dave, kid you not, this thing got up and started like jogging toward the creek. And I'm after it. I'm chasing this after this thing. And I swear, it reminded me, they looked like it had little arms swinging back and forth. It was a stick, 18 inches tall, maybe half inch in diameter, running, and it had like little legs. And I follow this thing, and it jumps into the creek. And as soon as it hits the water, Dave, it just turns into a floating stick and floated down the stream. I find stuff like that really fascinating. And I seen that firsthand not too long ago.
Right. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, Rob, this creature that we call Sasquatch and this creature that we call Dogman, there are so many stories about it being either, very vicious and mean and potentially taking people, to others who have said, no, this creature's helping me out. After all the stories that you have collected for your book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, where do you lean on that?
Really quickly, Dave, I think you can go either side of the story. I won't tell this story really quick, man, but there is a book, Bigfoot encounter in this book where he's on the trail, he's walking the trail. A Bigfoot jumps in his path, and this trail is kind of going up the hill. A Bigfoot jumps in his path. This man stumbles backwards, rolls down the trail, hits his head on rock, and he's rendered unconscious. And he knows he's seen a Bigfoot jump on the trail. You know what, Dave? And again, this is just obviously way condensed story. The man woke up at his campsite, and he was laying in a bed made of twigs and branches, laying there. And all around this made bed by something were Bigfoot feet, were big imprints that he says were Bigfoot prints, about 18 inches long. And he knew he saw the Bigfoot on a trail, and he got hit, got knocked out. He says, Rob, that Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever took him to a place of safety and made him a bed in his campsite. You hear a story like that, I'm thinking, no, they're not all bad, right?
Okay, so when these creatures are sneaking into houses like cellars or garages or basements or whatever, I mean, do they have an inclination of what they are looking for? I mean, oftentimes we've heard stories of Dogman trying to tap on people's glass windows on their doors or checking the
Yes.
doorknob to see if it opens. We don't hear a lot of that with Sasquatch.
Yes. In fact, in the book, there's a couple stories like that with Dogman. And you're right, Dave, with Sasquatch. I guess might be a certain part of me tries to look for a bad side of Sasquatch. And I'll be honest with you. In this book, none of the Sasquatch / Bigfoot encounter stories are bad. They're good stories where yes, they've seen them in their yard. Some have seen one looking through a window, and they kind of fade away. Dogman, on the other hand, they're staring through the window with this menacing grin, like, I can get you at any time type of thing. So I think there's a difference between the two entities or beings. Today, as I made mention, Sasquatch to me is not predatorial towards humans. I think that they don't even want to go out of their way to scare you unless you're invading their space and they're annoyed with you. So they might throw a rock at you, a stick at you. Where I think the Dogman is something else. And again, this book has both sides of the coin. And most of the Sasquatch encounters are kind of peaceful. But again, when you're seeing something 9 foot tall, I don't care if it's nice or evil. It's a lot to process, especially when you see it in person like I did. That's just too much for the human brain to process. So even if it is a friendly forest giant standing 9 foot tall, 4 foot wide, 1,200 pounds, I don't care how nice it may be. You're still going to be taken aback and probably frightened.
I can see that. I mean, why wouldn't you be frightened? I mean, you're seeing something that shouldn't exist right in front
Yes.
of your own eyes.
Right.
And most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, you are not ready for that interaction.
No, hell no. No. It's cool. I saw my first UFO. I was 7 years old. My mom woke me and my brother out of bed. Hey, Robbie, Davey, come on down. I think we've got a flying. She said flying saucer. Just back when flying saucer was like the word, right? And yeah, and you just looked, and I seen this craft hovering in the backyard. It was maybe 100 yards up and down, up and down. And my mom called my dad at work and said, "Pam, what are you doing? Call me. I don't want to hear this flying saucer nonsense." But when we were looking at this, it was kind of majestic. It was kind of like I didn't get any ill. I thought, "Wow, what is this thing?" And I thought back to Lost in Space because back in the day, I was a fan of Lost in Space, and that's what this craft looked like. Again, as a 7-year-old kid. But thing about that story, Dave, is this: that was broadcast on the news, the 5 o'clock news that same day. City of Southern Dearborn Heights, 300 calls into the local radio, flying saucers seen in air. And that's on the news. That was on the news back in I think in the late 1970s. And but yeah, so that to me wasn't scary at all. That was like, wow. And again, that set me off on all this stuff. And my dad brought me up on Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney, Werewolf, Frankenstein, Dracula. Then I was into Lost in Space, UFOs, and then of course Leonard Nimoy with Patty, and then so yeah. So I've always loved all this. But to see what I saw for the first time, any person would drop their drawers, and even if it didn't do the dropping the jaw and yelling and screaming, just to see it. If you're walking the trail, Dave, and something that big comes in front of you and stops, looks at you, and takes off, I think that's a moment that you can't comprehend because your brain can't process it as fast. Like you said, shouldn't exist.
Absolutely, it shouldn't exist. Hey, we got about 90 seconds left with you tonight, my man. And I want to say a big thank you for you coming on in. I apologize we didn't get to any of the audience questions tonight, but I wanted to have a little bit more time for your story time here in hour number 2, Rob. But I just want to say congratulations, my friend, on your first book regarding this subject, and good on you for writing it.
Thank you, Dave. I'm proud of it. I love you, man. Thanks for having me on anytime. This is awesome to have your ear and your audience's ear. Yeah, I'm proud of it. And again, it's for people that they want their stories heard, and I hope that I can do that. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the only person that does this, but I feel that since I really seen something, I can empathize with the people, maybe more so than some others.
Well, do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your book and your show, Brunch with Bigfoot.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, the book is called, as Dave has said many times, Bigfoot to Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters. That is on Amazon. Just type that in. I think I might have put a link in hour 1, but whatever. Just type my name in on Amazon. You'll find it. Also, my YouTube channel is Bigfoot to Michigan Rob. Just type that in. And help, and that'd be great. Help support the channel. And you'll find encounter stories on there as well. But you'll also find 2 days a week, Tuesday at 9 p.m., Thursday at 1 p.m., all in the East. I do interviews with various researchers, experiencers. Dave's been on a plethora of times, so come check it out.
All right, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, thank you, my man, for coming on in and telling us your story and your great book. Next, to kick off hour 3, we got Among the Missing. Then Our good friend little Timmy Senor joins us for the UFO report. All right, dude, we are clear.
Very
That's
good.
awesome.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you, my man. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate the opportunity. Great show. Great time.
All right, bud. I'll let
All
you
right.
get some sleep.
All right. Thanks, man.
Goodbye. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, everybody. Little Timmy Senor is up next. Good crowd tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning us in. I'll be right back. We're going to take a quick little break here and just enjoy. We got hour 3 next. You know what I'm most happy with? Mosquito season is almost over. Thank you, T2E, for that great super chat. Very much appreciate your awesome love and support of SOR, along with Uncle Bones, T-Bone, Scott from the UK, Kim, Deb, Lala, and Derek. Thank you for the love, guys. Very much appreciate it. Really helps out what we do on a nightly basis. So thank you guys so much. And if you're new here, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell, because we are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. Yeah, we are. And here we go with our number 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Obtend. Obtend is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. The man without a country. The man appeared dressed as any other businessman might. Nice suit, tie, leather shoes, a passport, ID, briefcase, and a story that started out as plausible, but quickly aroused suspicions of customs agents at a Tokyo airport. The man stepped off a plane from Europe and made his way to the customs counter, where he was randomly stopped and asked questions about his business in Tokyo. Business was the only answer he would give. He was certainly dressed for the part, but upon inspection of the passport he provided, there was a slight problem. The passport was issued from Taured, a country that didn't exist. Customs questioned the man further about where he was staying, which company he was there to do business with, and was asked again to show his passport and identification. The passport was indeed from the country Taured that he had stated, and he was fluent in Spanish, French, English, Japanese, and seemingly the language spoken in his native country. He possessed currency from several of the countries he said he had been to, and stamps in his passport that was originally issued from Taured showed he had been to Tokyo at least 3 times and had traveled around Europe, just as he had stated when questioned by customs. The man was escorted to a holding room and questioned further about the country he was from. When presented with a map, the man pointed out a country by the name of Andorra. When the customs agents told the man that he was pointing to the wrong country, he acted bewildered and said that Andorra was the fake name for the real country. Not knowing what to do with the man and certainly not able to permit him into Tokyo without verifying his story, agents contacted the business, bank, and hotel in which he stated he would be working with and staying at, respectively, while in the country. The agents were told by the company they had never heard of the mysterious stranger. The bank was one no one had ever heard of, and the hotel had a similar story. There was no reservation under the name he provided. With that, the customs agents decided to take the man to a hotel and post a guard outside the door until they figured out what to do with him. The next day, when the guard entered the room to escort the man back to the airport, he was gone. Just as mysteriously as he had appeared, he was now missing. The passport and identification that Customs was holding at the airport were also strangely missing. There have been several accounts of this story circulated throughout the internet and in magazines such as Strange and True, Mysterious and Bizarre People, and the Directory of Possibilities. No one has ever been able to verify the story, which leads to the possibility of it being an urban legend. However, this wouldn't be the only case like it. There are tales of other people showing up in airports and, upon being questioned by Customs, not permitted to enter countries based on accounts given by the travelers. Stories of travelers recalling being from a non-existent country is also not a rare account, like the man in this story from days gone by, titled A Phantom Country. In 1851, Joseph Voren was found wandering around near the rural German village Frankfurt on the Oder, aimlessly. Thinking the stranger was a vagrant or a drifter, police questioned the man. When they asked him where he was from, in broken German, he stated that he was from Laxaria, which he said could also be found near Sakria. Police discovered these places didn't exist, so he was taken into the station for further investigation. This is where the answers the man would give became even more mysterious. The only language he knew other than the broken German was his native language of Laxarian and Abramian, which he spoke fluently. The problem was, neither of these were languages that anyone knew or had ever heard of. When asked his name, he gave them Joseph Voren and told them his religion was Ispatian. When the officers asked what his business was in the area, Voren told them he was looking for his missing brother, but that the ship in which he had boarded wrecked, and that's how he ended up in Germany. Not knowing what to believe, but convinced by how matter-of-factly Voren was able to answer these questions, they decided just to release him. He was never seen or heard from again. So, what could be the reason for these strange and bizarre appearances? Are some people actually able to teleport, visiting spans of time from long ago or even into the future? Are there places in our world that has portals or vortex that people accidentally stumble into, causing them to slip through the cracks of time and space and into a world that's strange and foreign to them?
Well, we're going to find out. Thank you, Steve Stockton, for another great story on Spaced Out Radio. And if you want more, all you got to do is head on over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Among the Missing. Almost at 100,000 subscribers already in less than a year. Man, I would love that luck. I really, really would. Here I am at 23,255. Come on, people, hit that subscribe button. Thank you, Steve, for another great story. And when we go from the missing to the mysterious, we got a weird story for you tonight on the UFO Report. Here's little Timmy Cedar.
Nobody's going to know.
They're going to know.
Always good to see you, Tim Cedar, as you bring in a UFO report. Man, do we have a weird one tonight, my man? I don't even know how you make this stuff up, but apparently, and I'm going to let you tell the story, but I'm just going to tune it up here because we got to get right into this. We can't even mess around. Okay. Apparently, there is a rural town somewhere near the Nazca lines in Peru. I'm getting some feedback on your end, Tim. I don't know what that is. But there's a rural town this weekend in Peru by the Nazca lines that is being completely overrun in a battle with aliens. What the hell is going on here, Tim?
Yeah, it's pretty weird, wild stuff. Are my levels really high, or
Now you're good. Now we got you.
is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Peruvian villagers report attacks by 7-foot armored aliens resembling the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. So you and I discussed this briefly, and it includes terrified villagers in a rural district of Alto Nane, northeast of Lima, Peru. And they claimed they are under attack by 7-foot tall armored aliens that bear a striking resemblance to the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. And so, according to the locals, these extraterrestrial beings have, excuse me, large heads, yellowish eyes, and they have been launching nightly attacks on the community since the 11th of July. So, ongoing attacks. And one alarming incident involving a 15-year-old girl who was reportedly grabbed from behind and had her neck cut when she resisted. The community members are living in fear, unable to sleep peacefully due to this constant threat. And the allegations have been made by members of the Itu indigenous people who have described the aliens as being immune to their hunting weapons. And so the villagers are now arguing and urging the Peruvian military to intervene and protect them from these interstellar intruders. And so they claim the aliens wear protective armor and have unique floating abilities, using round-shaped shoes with red lights on their heel. And so these gentlemen are aliens, they say, and they appear to be like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. I shot one of them twice, and he wasn't injured. He rose and disappeared. We're very frightened about what's happening here in our community, according to the community leader, Jairo Avila. And so incredible stories coming from this part of the world, including the villagers that have taken matters into their own hands by conducting night patrols to hunt down the alien attackers. And recently, a video has been released of them literally firing weapons upon the so-called aliens. And in this video, you can see a gun battle taking place. It's quite breathtaking. And I know, Dave, you and I talked briefly about this. And according to the 2017 National Census, about 1,350 people live in this location and are being affected by this situation. So these unexplained attacks and these mysterious and seemingly impervious aliens to contend with, let's talk about it, because it's pretty interesting stuff. And there's quite a few photographs and videos coming from this story. So what's your take?
This is just crazy. And you know, I am looking right now at, you know, some of the coverage that's going on in Peru right now on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called these days. And there is one scary photograph of this. It looks to be a gentleman who's literally had his entire skin pulled off of his face. Okay, now whether this is actually true and real that's going on, I don't know. I really don't know. But we have heard strange things coming from South America for a long time here, Tim, whether it's near the Nazca lines, whether it's in Brazil, you know, the Varginha case comes to mind. I remember Jody Cook from the North American Dogman Project telling me about these cases of these Anubis-like creatures, 7-8 feet tall, being hunted down in Brazil. And we don't know really what, if this is fake, if this is real, if this is some sort of game that's being played right now. And I don't know, man. I mean, I don't want to believe it. Okay. But if it happened in North America, I could see myself saying, you know what? Look at this. This is what we've been talking about this entire time. And, you know, for our Twitter, our YouTube followers and Twitch followers, I'm actually going to bring this up on screen. I mean, here are some of the photos that are being seen of this person who's allegedly had their neck cut and their face ripped off. It sounds completely grotesque, but this is a town that is quite believing that this is what's going on right now. I mean, how are we supposed to believe this? I mean, how do you believe it? I mean, here's a picture of these whatever they are, okay, and it looks like a cross between an alien gray and a mantid being that has like a luminescent green type body. And is this real? Is this just something that's photoshopped? I don't know, Tim. What's your thoughts on some of these photos?
Well, when we come back, I'd love to share the video that has recently come available through the local news station there, where it's apparently gunfire being exchanged, at least fired upon these so-called aliens. And so I find that incredibly compelling because typically you don't have the military firing just randomly at things. So maybe we can take a good look at that. But I find this story very interesting and compelling. It's another situation where we're seeing aliens on the ground, making the headlines. Same kind of story that we saw in Las Vegas, kind of recently, where it was firsthand contact and potentially aggressive aliens. It's an interesting kind of story that we're seeing here. Whether it's real or not, we don't know. But why at this time is it being released? And why would it not be true when it's coming from so many different voices at this point and with so much potential evidence, both photographic and video? So if it is happening this often and for so long, we're probably going to get more evidence coming.
Well, I don't know where we're going to find out where this is happening. I mean, it seems to be happening. And quick break on Twitter here, like Eli Samuel Parker says, alien skin peelers 7 to 9 feet tall, terrorizing a village. I mean, do we know for a fact the military has been called out on this?
Well, maybe I can share the video I have because it's coming from El Rojo Vivo, which is the source. And when I get it over to you here at the break, you can take a look at it. And it's obviously armed people. They look military, and some civilian firing upon something. And so we can take a look at that together. But if the military is involved, I would think that would obviously substantiate some of the claims that are going on, that it's necessary at this point, at least to investigate what's going on at night there. It's definitely interesting, and there's no reason to doubt this story at this point. We have seen historically quite a lot of things take place down there in South America with Varginha, Brazil case, with something very similar in description, by the way. So maybe we are seeing something happening that is aggressive, or maybe it's just people reacting out of fear. There's a lot more questions at this point than answers, but I'd love to hear more. And I'm wondering what our audience thinks, because this is a pretty fresh piece of news that really only became it only came on my radar today, even though it's been taking place for quite a while. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to see some more reports on this as we look forward in the coming days?
Well, I mean, it all depends on really how much this keeps going. I mean, don't forget, our media up here has a great way of shutting stories down. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter whether they're political, whether they're riots, whether they are governments falling. I mean, if it doesn't involve something that's uh, Hollywood anymore, it just doesn't seem to fly. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I don't know. I mean, looking at the photo I found on Twitter of the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man series, in the photos that we looked at, I mean, these things look familiar. They look awfully familiar towards each other, and it's very, very interesting because in those smaller areas, you don't know what the tribes people are actually seeing. Okay. I mean, a lot of these people might actually be seeing exactly what they're seeing. Maybe they're seeing some sort of covert military operation with equipment that they haven't seen before. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I want to believe this, and if it is aliens that are attacking, doesn't that kind of fall right into the narrative of what we have been talking about? Where so many people from Tom DeLonge, Peter Lavenda, and others been saying, these aliens are bad. We got to figure out a way to kill them before they wipe out humanity. I mean, doesn't that seem a little too coincidental?
It does. I mean, it does. And also, some of the claims when they're translated directly go to astronaut. Like they're dressed like an astronaut, not necessarily like the Green Goblin. And so you do see some of these claims coming forward being slightly different. But yeah, you also do see kind of that pre-woven narrative, right? That potentially they come not bearing peace at all, and they're here on nefarious terms. Well, let's hope not, because by what we've seen of their technology, potentially they would easily overcome us if they wanted to. So let's just hope we can go with the ancient astronaut theory, where they've been here for a really long time, and if they wanted to at any point, they could have easily taken over. And so it appears that we are coexisting quite nicely.
Well, the interesting part about this too is I'm watching a newscast from Peru where it looks like this story is making headlines down there, Tim.
Indeed,
Maybe not up
Telemundo.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creepy.
Yeah.
Absolutely creepy.
Yeah, if you want to, I think you can probably bring up that clip I just sent you if you want to share that, and we can explain it play by play. Do you see military people in there?
I am just looking at the newscast right now.
Oh yeah.
Trying, I mean, there's people in this newscast that are, armed with machine guns. They're armed with machetes. They're armed with cameras, trying to get a glimpse at whatever these things could be. And I mean, this isn't good, man. Not good at all. I mean, it's showing people
Yeah.
who've been affected by these creatures. A lot of blurry images on here that, they don't want for television. But
Right.
I mean, have these incidents been taking place more at night than during the day? Or do these aliens seem to be hiding during the day, or are the attacks going on 24/7?
The only attacks that have been reported are in the middle of the night, and they're saying that they're dressed anything from like the Green Goblin to astronauts. But you can say in this video that you're watching, you can definitely hear them shouting and shooting at the alleged invaders. And so it's pretty compelling. Now, I don't know if you're able to see the invaders themselves in the video. I know that at least there's people scrambling. It's really hard to shoot at night, period, especially in the jungle. So I find it incredibly interesting. I don't think that this would be taking place as hype. I don't think it would be created. And the fact that Telemundo is covering it, and there's multiple sources for the story in multiple towns, by the way. So it's not just one set of villagers experiencing it. But the other thing was that they seem to be impervious to the weapons, you know? So I also think that is quite interesting.
Well, when we get back from the break, there is a video that we are going to break down of one of these aliens on a rooftop coming on down. We're going to continue with Little Timmy Senor and the UFO report. Are aliens invading the small rural villages of Peru as we speak? Spaced Out Radio continues after this. See, I see something like this. You know what? I'm going to save it for the show. I'm not going to say it now. I'm going to save it for the show.
You should.
Yeah.
How was your day then? Let's do that.
How's my day been?
Yeah.
I'm tired and sore, man. I was running around with my kid You know what did happen? I'll tell you something. Yesterday we went to one of those trampoline gyms, where like the floors are all trampolines and everything. So much fun. So much fun.
That's
So old Davy, thinking he's 30 again, decides to jump headfirst into one of these foam pits, of these foam cubes. What a stupid thing for me to do.
where
couldn't-
was I without? If I'd been there, I'd have been filming that for you guys. That would have
Dude,
been
I,
great.
I actually had a panic attack in there because I couldn't get out.
Oh, that would have been just such a treasure.
Oh
Where
no,
was
dude.
I with my? Oh,
No,
that would have
dude.
been great. No, I get
I-
it. It was horrible,
could
but still.
So
Gold.
I rolled over, but my feet were higher than my head, and my stomach.
I love
and-
it.
And you
I'm
can't
getting such a visual. Sorry, guys. I know
you
his
can't-
pain is my glory, but oh,
you can't grip any of these things, man. You can't grip any of them. So every time you move, you're
Gripping.
shuffling yourself down further. Okay, dude, I had a panic attack in there.
he was
It's-
drowning in the ball pit or the foam pit.
Yeah, I literally, man, I had a panic attack. It
I'm
took
so
me about
sorry about my
15
laughter.
minutes to get out of that.
15 minutes.
15 minutes to get
Can
out
you
of that.
imagine if I had filmed it and we sped it up to say some music? That would have just been
Oh,
absolute gold.
you would
And
have got a hate.
if you'd been dressed like Axl Rose, like this, on top of it, oh, gold,
Oh,
absolute gold.
but I'll tell you, afterwards, we went and played. I took my boy to play laser tag.
Love
I'm
laser
telling you.
tag. That's
Oh,
awesome.
me too. And it was three of us versus this family of four, and this father with his three daughters. His three daughters, I mean, the oldest must have been about maybe 8 or 9. The
You
youngest
wrecked
probably.
them, didn't you? You just tore them up.
No, those three little children, those three little ladies there, nothing but pure evil.
Ninjas.
They
Okay.
were kamikaze right through the entire thing.
I
They
love
didn't
it.
I would be, and they strategized. If they knew that they would send one in this way because they knew I would be aiming that way, then they would send two behind me to
To
nail
flank
me.
you.
Yeah,
Wow.
they've totally flanked me. It was horrible.
I love
Horrible.
it. I love it. You sound really easy to trick in laser
My
tag.
bombshell bomber. No, my team sucked. Hey, I had the highest kill percentage in the game. I hit 33.
What about kill to death ratio? What did that look like?
They didn't give that,
Uh-huh.
but I did have the highest kill ratio
There
in the
you
game.
go. This guy. I love
Yeah.
it.
You
I
know?
love it. Hey man, at least we're not being attacked by aliens at night every night. Can you imagine if the guys that lived around you decided they were tired of you and just
I don't know
started to come at you?
all I'm saying is I don't like experiencing aliens at night.
Yeah. Think
I
how
mean,
these guys feel in
yeah,
Peru. It
like our
sounds
good
freaking terrifying. We should get there with cameras like now.
I'm not like our friend random guy who just says F you, Dave, not like that.
I think we should go, Dave.
Where are we
Let's
going?
go
Peru?
to Peru. Let's go.
I'd do that.
I would
wanna
do
go?
that. Yeah.
We gotta bring random guy though.
Yeah. Let him go in first.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Tim. I don't know if you would actually be able. I don't know if you would handle it.
Dude, I've already been to Peru. I could definitely
What I'm
handle
s-
it.
What I'm saying is
The aliens part, well, as long as I've got you and RG, I think I'd be fine.
You were freaking out in our forest.
I
You were
mean,
freaking out.
yeah, I was freaking out in the forest. We were in the middle of nowhere, and I've got you as my guide.
Hey, I didn't lead us
There
astray.
were no doors,
Be honest though.
no roof.
Be honest though. We got 20 seconds to go. How beautiful were the wild horses?
Oh yeah, no, that was a surprise. The wildlife was amazing.
Yeah. The wildlife was beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, everybody. Thank you, Deb, for that second super chat. We passed where are we going with this? I'm so pumped up about this story, I forgot how to speak. We may have to make a trip to Peru, little Timmy Senor and I, along with Random Guy, down to Peru to go fight some of them aliens that are apparently going on down there. But first, we want to remind all of you Spaced Out Radio listeners that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read some Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. And unlike Human Carl in the chat room who says Dave is afraid of plastic blocks, but yet he wants to go fight aliens. Big difference. Big difference. I'll take the aliens over them foam blocks anytime. Anytime. Yeah, I hate those foam pits. Yeah, they're at gyms and everything. Yeah, not doing that again. I got stuck. But Tim Senor, he's never stuck, as he's bringing us a UFO report right now. We're talking about this incredibly weird story where over the last few days, there have been reports of aliens fighting people in these small villages of Peru. They said to look like the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man series. They're about 7 to 9 feet tall. They are literally ripping the faces off of people right out of a horror movie. And Tim, we have a little bit of a video here. I know our radio audience can't see it, but we have a video here, and we'll describe it for our radio audience. What looks to be one of these alien type creatures sitting on top or standing on top of a building, and they've got flashlights on it, and this thing is looking down on the ground. And the thing that bugs me about it is it's not moving. All right, now I see, it's not moving. People are kind of shuffling their way around. Then they pull the flashlight off, and we don't know if it's still up there or not, or whether it's a game or something along those lines. I really don't know. I mean, they're lighting it up again, and it still seems to be there. But what's your thoughts on this?
I think it's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And the less you see, the scarier it is. Really.
It reminds me of the movie Signs.
Absolutely. And this being reported on doesn't benefit the people that are shooting this video.
Was that the video you wanted to play, or was there a different video?
This is one of a few that have been released. There's another one. I think I texted you.
Yeah, texting me on my phone doesn't help me on my computer for radio. Just a reminder there. I'm trying to get it over. I'm trying to get it over to the other side, but I mean, it's something that I don't know, man. I really don't know.
You sound scared.
I don't know what to make of this. I mean,
the people definitely sound scared. The dog sounds scared. They're all alerted to something. And from what you can see with the pretty weak flashlight they're using, there's definitely something there. It seems actually like it does move at one point.
Okay, this is the newscast video that I was talking about earlier. Is that the one? Okay, there's. Hold on. Let's try and get to this here. So weird. And I apologize to our radio audience right now. Is we're trying to do this on the fly here and explain what's going on along the west coast of Peru right now, where jungle villagers are claiming they were attacked in the middle of the night by extraterrestrials dressed like astronauts. I mean, that is just anything. Absolutely anything. All right. So
Sorry,
let me just bring this up here and kind of get things going. If I could ever figure this program out, doing a great job. Good job, Dave. Good job.
Those villagers are absolutely tense, and their light is definitely shining on something. And it appears that from the first frame to the last frame, it may have moved.
So, I mean, this is, like I said, this is right out of, like, M. Night Shyamalan signs. The flashlights going through the jungle trees and teams of people where all they have in their hands is maybe a machete and a flashlight as they're trying to chase these things away from their community. I don't think this is an alien invasion that's happening. We got no other reports of this going on. But this is either a town that is trying to make things happen, or this is reality of what's going on. Or maybe it is also some sort of military incursion that we can't really figure out.
Yeah. Well, it seems like by the reports, it's ongoing and has been for quite a while. And so if there are creatures that are roaming in that area, potentially that's what's going on. And at some point around the 11th of July, they were spotted and they haven't ever since. And so we have yet to get more information. Now, it is being covered by Telemundo and a few other small reporting systems, but these unexplained attacks are continuing throughout multiple villages with a lot of people reporting it. And so there's a lot of still photographs, a lot of video, and a lot of firsthand reports. And so we know that at least for now, at least 1,350 people are being affected by this in those communities and in the rural township area. And so these seemingly impervious to their weaponry aliens are, terrorizing them at night. And all we can do is continue to collect these reports and see what happens next.
Here's another video. Of course, the person forgets to turn their phone sideways.
Classic.
Always, people, do us a favor. If you want to put something on the internet, okay, put your phone horizontally, not vertically. And this is a show of the people trying to get into the forest. They believe these creatures are right in front of them. You can see how thick the jungle is as they walk through. I don't know if I would be that brave knowing that there is potentially a 7 to 9 foot alien that could rip my face off, that I would be running into the forest. Yes, you have the power of people with you, but what are you going to do if your biggest weapon with you is a machete? I just don't see that. And in this one, it looks like they may be carrying out some injured people. This isn't good, and yeah. How do you break it down, Tim? I really don't know.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that the people there feel like they're on the defense, and that they feel they're being attacked. And let's hope that's not what is taking place, because we haven't seen that kind of behavior in the past, or those kind of reports, them being that outwardly aggressive. And so I'm sure it does take place. If this is a real thing, then, why wouldn't it be taking place in some situations? But we'll have to wait and see what we get. I mean, Dave, where are you with this? I mean, could this just be a bunch of people excited over something that is nothing? It kind of a lot of reports for it to be nothing, don't you think?
I don't know. Darcy Weir has placed a film in here where he's kind of broken things down a little bit more on this video. And thank you and credit Darcy Weir for this video. I've done some voiceover work for him in the past, and he's a good friend of Spaced Out Radio, but he has slowed this footage right down of what looks to be this mantid type being standing on the rooftop with flashlights and everything kind of lighting it up. And the way this thing is bending, it's almost like it's crouching down at its waist, but you can see the large eyes on it and the green skin on it. And I just think this is, I don't know. Like, if this is real, this should be headline news. It really should be headline news if this is real, Tim. Okay. Now, others may say, okay, that we have to define it. We have to figure it out, what's going on. And no, there is no alien invasion. Of course, we're all going to look to the United States of America and the military for this. But I remember Jody Cook from the NADP telling me that he believes that the United States government actually has some sort of team that is readily deployed around the world when these situations happen.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. I'm only going on extreme hearsay, but I do know he has mentioned that on this show. And I just find it, very intriguing. I find it, and this video, if it is real, it's kind of disturbing. It's kind of disturbing with looking at this creature. I mean, to me, that looks like a mantid being. Is it shape-shifting itself? I really don't know. I mean, or is it just the fact that at points of fear, people are quite shaky with their flashlights or shaky with their camera work? I'm just having a tough time with this one, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I wonder where RG is right now. Maybe he's winging his way down to Peru. But
you know the random guy would completely go down there and just, he'd go full on
drive
Rambo.
by.
Yeah, he'd go full on Rambo,
He would just silently drive by and just check.
Yeah. Well, these aliens don't scare him. I mean, he's got aliens himself.
That's right. That's right. When you're sleeping with them, forget about it. So, what I find interesting, though, is that this story comes up now, just a few weeks after we had the great Las Vegas alien story. I found that also equally compelling, right? There were, some pretty good videos there. Now, with the slowdown and those freeze frames that were done, I also find that really interesting because it appears from the first to the last frame that it actually moved. So it's not just an object or something that they're misseeing. So I thought that Darcy Weir's work actually proved that it was not just an object, it was something that moved up there. So with all of the flashlight work and all of the poor camera work, we still have something anomalous there. So I think that's great. We still don't know what it was. It's just gray and creepy. So
very creepy.
Yeah. Very creepy. And it comes at a time also that We just had a new recollection from the Roswell crash. New research and investigations came up with a new anomalous metal alloy found from the 1947 crash at the debris site. And so on June 3rd of this year, Frank Kimbler found pieces of metal out in the middle of the New Mexico desert at the famed 1947 Roswell crash debris site. And so the recent blog has been covering the activities there and the debris search. And back when Mac Brazel and his son Vernon found the unusual looking debris scattered within that 200 to 300 yard area, starting the whole Roswell UFO crash story, it's been a site that has been scoured many times. And so now with this most recent search, they did find this new piece of debris and went ahead and had a testing done to the piece using an X-ray spectrometer. And the XRS test clearly shows that aluminum is the dominating element. Other elements like silicon, magnesium, manganese, iron, copper, zinc, chromium, nickel, and cobalt are also present. And so those elements combined make this piece of debris an aluminum alloy. So
And
not
also all chemicals and irons that create lithium ion batteries.
exactly. Great point. And so even though it's not a registered alloy in one of the 6,000 that are potentially out there in the series of alloys, there is now obviously more testing that needs to be done to verify that this analysis is more debris that is interesting or may be anomalous. And so it's kind of cool that people are still looking in that area. And what if this is a piece from that crash and we can find some new information publicly this time, on its source and what this metamaterial, if it is one, could actually be used for.
I'd be curious to see if it truly is from the Roswell crash. Do we know if that metal is going to be tested by credible individuals that are familiar with what happened at Roswell?
Right. Well, I think that you'd need somebody that is independent, right? You'd want more than one test done, and you'd want the people to not know the source potentially, right? The less they know about the material, the less, bias they'll have. So I think that you could definitely get some interesting information. For example, I think they're heading to the Colorado Metallurgical Services Company to do more testing. And this time they'll do it on a scanning electron microscope. And so using that technology, they'll be able to use some of the previous samples that they used before and see if they can indicate and confirm what kind of an alloy they're looking at here.
Well, you know what? It's amazing that after 70 years, people are still coming up with debris from Roswell. I mean, how does that even happen right now? Honestly,
Yeah,
how does that even happen?
it's amazing. It's amazing. And finally, I've got a very brief story because I know I've only got a minute left. The Hill has a new story and an upcoming event. Are you aware of this? 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
You can actually register for an event where the Pentagon's All Anomaly Resolution Office will be holding a public meeting, and the Hill will convene with lawmakers, experts, and administration officials to provide analysis and answer questions about potential national security risks. So this Thursday, August 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, speakers will include Representative Tim Burchett, Greg Egangian, I'm sorry, Eghigian, the former director of Science Technology Program at Pennsylvania State University, and Representative Anna Paulina Luna, with the moderator Michael Schnell, the congressional reporter from the Hill. And so this will be something that we could all register for publicly and go and take part in and convene with those lawmakers and experts to talk about possible national security risks due to UFOs and UAPs.
Wow. So here we go again. So Tim Burchett and Anna Luna definitely are not planning on giving this up too quickly, are they?
No, they are not. And they're making another public hearing available to everybody to talk about it. And I think that's great because you can talk to somebody with science and technology in their pocket coming from the State University of Pennsylvania, along with representatives that are working towards transparency on this topic. So the Hill is really taking a positive stance on transparency being in the media. I love this kind of progressive rather thinking in media, and it's about time they take this stance. Dave, your thoughts?
Well, we're going to see how they take the stance this time. I mean, who are they going to interview? What are they going to talk about? Where are they taking the subject? And I think that's what it comes down to. Where are they taking the subject? Are they, they made progress last time. Let's be honest, they did, Tim. And I would be very much interested to see where they plan on taking the next conversation. They got a lot out of Grush, and I think there's a lot of open-ended questions that the public has that have made mainstream media that still deserve answers, like people being injured and potentially not of this world anymore. On that note, we say thank you to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal for rocking us out tonight, as Mr. Bumblefoot is our choice of music for Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgap, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Woo! We is done. We is done. Done. Yeah, that Peru shit is weird. Totally weird. Like this. That up. this downloaded. It doesn't make sense, Jenny. It totally doesn't make sense. Right? That's the issue. You know? That's the issue. I don't get it. Don't get it. Hi, Corey Cole. How you doing? Random guy, how's your aliens doing? Can we get an update? Yeah, Derek, you got that link? Hi, Noble Patrick. How you doing? Good night, Zochito Paez Richards. 526 here, guys. It's actually a good question there, Arrow. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Skip to my loo. That camera can stay exactly where it is. I have not found my passport yet, Jenny. Yeah, I'm kind of pissed off about that, to be honest. Corey Cole, I don't think so. Which email did you use? Hi, Magic Mulder. How you doing? What's your safe word? Deb? It's always tacos. It's always tacos. Thanks, Dead Fish. Just close that off. Let's open this up. Thanks, Shaq. How you doing? How's it going over there in Norway? Any aliens? Yeah, I read that, Derek. Yeah, if the alien invasion comes and you want to hang out at Dave's house, watch the shit happen, bring tacos. There will be a cover charge of tacos. Sorry, I'm just trying to find more on this. This story is just fascinating me. Right? Voices. I don't know. Our Keith is he probably knows what's going on down there. All right, I'm gonna just take a quick bathroom break. Be right back, guys. let's go like this. Did I send that one? Oh no. Did I boo-boo? I may have boo-booed here. Well, I gotta go fix my boo-boo. Forgot to send my audio. So, on that note, we will say good night to all of you. And thank you tonight to Shaq Valet, Debster ×2, T2E, Uncle Bones, T-Bone, Scott, Kim, Lala, and Derek. Tomorrow night on the show, Lisa Barnett joins us talking about the Akashic Records and everything that goes along with it. We're going to learn about it tomorrow night. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.